night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host Ian. Ian, are you there?
I should be.
How are you, my buddy?
I am exhausted.
Yeah, it's oh boy, we got an interesting show tonight, and but here we are with our second to last Halloween grab bag marathon choice. We reached in and pulled something out, and man, it gave us something, all right. So, honestly, Ian, we might as well just get into it. I mean, the quicker we get this one over with, the better. So, our film for tonight is Hayride To Hell, and it has Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder in the leads, I believe. And so, Hayride To Hell. Again, I don't even know when this one was released. It says like 2022, 2023, and like 2024. So there's 3 different dates. So it's one of those years. Like it's one of those probably shot in 2022. The trailer came out in 2023 and it finally came out in 2024. I mean, it's all over the place. One of those where it could have been it could have been on the shelf earlier. You know, it felt that way. It felt like a movie that was on the shelf. Like, oh, finally we had some distribution deal that got picked up. Let's release it to the public. Hurry, put it on Tubi. No one will know. That's what happened. Like, I swear I saw the trailer for this like a few weeks ago, and it's like on Tubi now. But Hayride To Hell is let me get my mind around it. Bill Moseley plays Sam, and he works on this farm, Sugartown Scare annually. That's the haunted attraction that he runs. He's owned this farm or this land for generations. His dad owned it. His previous dad owned it, probably. Grandfather owned it. And it's just been in his family. And he's been running this and providing harvest and vegetables and all the stuff that a farmer provides to a local community. And he's been doing the local haunted attraction. But here recently, things have not been going so well for him, and his land is having to get foreclosed on and sold out from underneath him unless he does, pays the bank back. There's like a loan that he's out a lot of money on, and just a lot of things are on his shoulders. And the sheriff's played by Hodder. He's sort of an asshole, doesn't really like Sam all that much. I believe it's his nephew is his deputy. And then there's the Singletons, Dick and Karen. And I think they're like realtors or something and wants to buy it, or something like that. And so like they're all like every one of them's like coming down on him, and they just don't want him there anymore. And again, he's not doing the best when it comes to the haunts. And he says, "Okay, give me 3 days to come up with the best haunt that you've seen, and if I blow you away, you'll leave me alone, basically, and push everything under the rug or all that fun stuff." So him and his crew that run the haunt, well, he devises a plan, and they all kind of just go with it. And he invites all the ones I just mentioned: the Singletons, the realtors, Sheriff, um, Jubel, yeah, Jubal, his and the deputy, and they just come there on the Hayride to Hell. You're invited to the Hayride to Hell. And so he gets on the tractor and he starts going around showing them various things. And earlier in the film, there's these punks or hooligans that like vandalize his family's graveyard and kill his dog, and they basically kidnap them and start using them along the way as the haunt progresses on the hayride. And so like those on the truck bed of the hayride, they're just watching as actual murders happen. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the movie, and it's 90 minutes of that where you're just hearing Bill Moseley talk about this and talk about that. All the people kind of just like putting him down and like his farm down, and just like degrading things in a sense with Sam and his family and the farm. And it just goes on that for pretty much most of the movie, and until like again Sam gets his revenge on the hooligans and again all those involved. And overall it's fine. I mean, it's nothing special. It's just basic, simple. Not a lot really happens. Like I said, just a lot of meandering conversation. I mean, Bill and Kane does a good job back and forth, even if they're not really in the same scenes that much, because a lot of it is green screen to hell. Um,
Yeah.
that's the other subtitle they could have went with: green screen to hell, because they're just digitally imposed. There's like a background and moon and all that stuff. It's just like completely like this is something that you would see that we would review on a boneyard, honestly, where it's just like fake background, just like the cheapest you could get away with, sort of like Woodstock Holiday, where it's just like cheap on the low, just like trying to get it out there, like a community, like only a handful of people is going to know about it. It was released in like 2002, you know. Um, it's just like Haunted Hayride, the movie. It's just very similar to sort of like that, but like at least that one had some slashings in it with a killer with Hate, the killer in that film. Um, but again, it's just like it's a very basic and bland movie. There's some decent moments towards the final act. There is some, I mean, I wouldn't say practical gore effects, but they just like pull out like intestines and hearts. Like there's a one scene there where it's just they pull out like body parts, organs in a corpse. There's some, like I said, it's some okay moments here and there sprinkled throughout. There's the only good moment I think I liked out of the whole film was the drill scene where the lady gets attacked by a drill towards the last act of the movie. Um, so that was pretty cool. That's not the only thing cool. Um, but again, it's nothing amazing, to be honest. It has, I mean, it just has name recognition. It's just one of those cheapy, like, oh, put Bill in there, put Kane in there, that'll get some people to view it. And I mean, technically it did because we're reviewing it. And I just kind of expected a little bit more out of it, but just like some like it's just exactly what it is. Like people are on a hay bale and they get killed. It's as basic and to the point as it can be, and it doesn't deviate from that. I mean, they get some of the people involved to kill some of the. It's just one thing too, like the people at his group of friends or those involved, Sam's like they're pretty like okay to killing, murder. Like yeah, sure, it's just another Saturday night. We'll kill some people. It's just like it's like the very like nothing off our back. It was kind of funny. Like yeah, we'll go along with this. We'll murder. Um, that was kind of
Yeah.
funny. But
Yeah.
as a film, it was it was there. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. It was just you know it was a watch. It's like it's a definitely an opener for something that you would want to watch later. Um, if like me and you, we'd start with this, and then we went into something a little bit more heavier later on in the marathon. Um, but again, it wasn't anything bad. I mean, it wasn't good, but it's nothing like that left a bad taste in your mouth. You're just left, like, it was a watch. Nothing terrible, nothing bad. It was fine.
Yeah.
Um, Ian, your thoughts?
I mean, I had fun with the movie just because of the sheer absurdity of how fast everything just like it's like a light switch. It went from like 0 to 100 real fast, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." I was like, "So this is just a bunch of people who are psychotic and ready to kill anyway." That's nice. Um, I was like, I don't know. I felt like there wasn't like enough of a buildup for what happened. Like I was like, yeah, I get it. These people are awful, and a lot of them deserve to die. But like, I just felt like that it wasn't earned as like I was just like it was because it was just the guy was super nice about everything, and then was like, all right, let's give you one last, and everything kind of just hit the fan all at once, and I was like, oh, I thought a little bit more would happen.
They needed to have more interesting kills, like, leading up, instead of like,
Yeah,
oh, here's a guy that's attached to a tree, shoot an apple off his head. Oh, I missed it, hit him in the face. Like there needed to be more interesting scenarios, besides that they could have got away with instead of just going like on the cheap route, like, oh, a guy's tied up on a post. I'm gonna just stab him. Just like there's
yeah,
just like nothing there. They could have done something a
yeah,
little bit more fun. I mean, even when it came to the revenge aspect of the people on the hayride, like again, the only one interesting was the drill. No one else was that interesting. I mean, they just didn't do anything. Like they just, I mean, what they did, it's
yeah.
just
No,
left
I get
a lot
that.
to be desired. Like they could have just like ramped it up. Actually make it like you're actually making them scared or piss their pants or something like that. And it just seemed like they were just like we were there along for the rides, is like just meandering around like you would for a hayride, in a haunted attraction. Like, oh, here comes the zombie, here comes the guy in a chainsaw. Oh my god, ooh, it's spooky clowns in the hayfield, cornfield. Just like you're just sitting there, you're just kind of just like twiddling your thumbs, like this is, it didn't really ramp up anything, leading up, just like there was no build, no interesting. Even again, the teenagers, beatniks, whatever, that he's getting revenge on for killing his dog and defacing his family grave. It's just like even that was just kind of again just like a wet fart in a sense. I mean, like they
Yeah,
tried, but it's just like it
yeah.
didn't do much.
I really felt like a lot of it was just forced. Like it was just forced in there. Like I'm guessing his what was she? The paramedic, the was his niece, and they were just like, "Oh, we're just chopping up a body."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. The
I was like,
paramedics that save lives, they're taking lives. Oh, isn't that ironic?
yeah. And I was just sitting there. I was like, that's. I didn't see. I mean, I didn't see half that, but I was like, okay. But like half the people just were just down to kill, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Like there wasn't. I wish I could. We even got like you know, a better build up to what transpired. Like, you know, yeah, I got that they want the land, but all they had to do was make money. And I get it, they were trying to like screw him over, but like, I was expecting like his farm to go under and um, that he set up, like something that happened that was a little bit worse or something to make him snap and everybody join in. But it was just like, okay, well, this is what's going on and this is just how it's going to be. I don't know. I felt like it was a little unearned, but I did enjoy like the absolute like try hard humor, um, the campiness of the whole thing, and just like how hard they were trying. Like you could
Yeah.
tell like this was like a passion project instead of just trying to do like a. So I mean, I did enjoy it for what it was. Like I didn't hate myself. I found myself like laughing to myself as I was watching this movie. It's like this is absolutely ridiculous. Um, the setups, like you said, like there was no build up for the kills. There was barely any interesting kills at all. Um, I'm still laughing at the old lady who just like it was a misty figure and it just slowly gets up there and just takes that sewing needle and just yoink.
Yeah.
I was like,
She
that
was
was
an
funny.
interesting character.
Yeah, I was just like,
Um,
that was hilarious.
yeah, yeah, but like, yeah, if Bill and Kane, I mean, it seemed, I mean, honestly, if they weren't in this, I mean, it'd still be rather forgettable. I mean, it's the only reason it's there. I mean, they weren't, it wasn't exactly like they shoehorned a performance in, but it kind of still seems that way. Like, oh, it's a cheap, easy. I mean, they're probably not even in the same room or wherever they filmed it at this location at the same time, except for maybe a few scenes. A lot of people probably just like this is again just like how it was shot. It's just like a lot of green screen. They're just setting on a hay bale and just digitally imposed background, and it's just like some of that just like way off, like really bad.
Yeah.
But that's what it's one of those cheapies. It's like one that I had was thinking of that I liked that sort of did the same thing. Not the Hayride, but like Fear Farm, where it was like the family that like did the haunts and the the cornfield corn maze, and like they're also selling body parts and making all kinds of pharmaceutical stuff in the barn, and like that one was pretty fun. Sequel is okay, but not as good as the first. But like they had fun kills and like a Leatherface type character, and it made sense for them because like, oh, we just can't keep making money off of off a haunted attraction. We have to do something else on the side, and that's what the whole point of Fear Farm. This one is just like, again, like as you said, like there was no like, oh, they're just gonna take my land, like, oh, like they just don't like me, they don't want me around here, I'm gonna show them. It just doesn't feel like you said, like earned, like, oh, it's just happenstance. It's like, oh, it's a minor inconvenience to my living and my state of well-being. It's just like I'm just gonna put them in their place. It's just like it just doesn't feel like earned. Like, oh, we're just gonna kill for you. Yeah, sure, let's just kill people. It's just like, let's go along with this. There's no, there's nothing. No one's gonna know anything. All so many people's dead. Like, oh, when the last time you saw them all at the haunt, I wonder what happened to them. I have no idea. Um,
Right. I was like, how?
yeah,
There's no way that the sheriff, his uh, son or whatever, uh, and his son's friends, and all of those people that were killed, they're going to go looking for them. Like he actually just screwed himself over.
Yeah.
Or like, well, if I'm going to lose my livelihood, I might as well take you all with me. And that would have made a better, like, at least giving that kind of context of why they're doing what they're doing. Like, hey, we're about to all be on the street, and like his carnival people, like we have nowhere else to go, and no one will take us or whatever, so let's go out in a blaze of glory. And that right there would have just took 5 minutes to establish, instead of just, okay, it goes from him talking to that woman to sitting down and drawing up all these like ways to kill people.
Yeah, and he didn't even really do that well with like the plans either. He just drew them down and handed them to him and shook his head, agreed, like this is what you do. And then like we don't really get to see him like build anything. And like again, what little there is of the builds later. I mean, it's just like, like what did they do? Just like 2 posts in the ground, like there you go. That's amazing. But they could have done again more with the kills, or scenarios, and just made them interesting. Besides, I'm just gonna lay in the water head first and then come up. He's just that guy was laying in that water for I don't know how long until finally that tractor came along. Like I'm amazed he didn't drown.
Right. I was even kind of thrown off by the guy who was freaking out about his the cornfield.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I was like, I figured like they were going to kill him or something, but nope. He was part of it. That's cool.
Like they should again with that scene, they should have like at least showed a little bit more too. Like instead of just showing him plowing over, they needed to show some blood, and just implying that like, oh, I'm gonna run him over. Like show something get run over. I mean, in indie stuff, I mean, I know it's a cheap film, but my goodness, even for something cheap, we review on a boneyard, at least to give us a little bit of blood and a run over mangled body. You couldn't put like a fucking pumpkin underneath there and put some blood in it. Jeez. It's just like the cheapest film, like mainstream indie movie. I mean, it's not mainstream, man. It's indie, but still, it's like it's so cheap. It's like let's do as little as possible and put it out there. But we managed to get Kane Hodder and Bill Moseley.
Yeah,
That's
they
half our
probably
budget,
yeah, they probably were like, "Hey, this is kind of sad." So we're going to throw you a bone.
Yeah,
But
they spent all their money on Bill and Kane, and just like, we don't need any effects. We got one cool scene with a drill. That's good enough. It just didn't do much. I mean, honestly, like I said, man, it's just it's okay, but it's just so forgettable. It's just one of those where you're just like, yeah, this is gonna be one of those where we're just gonna like, oh yeah, remember that one, and like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be one you're gonna forget by next week. Like, and you remember when we start ranking them, you're like, what was the other one? Oh yeah, that one.
oh my god,
This
yeah,
is gonna be
no,
one of those just you're like, I don't even remember the other one, but nonetheless, it's okay. It's nothing spectacular. It's like I said earlier, it's like this would be the one that we'd start a marathon with and just like try to find something better. But it came out towards the end of the marathon, like, well, that's something. But again, I didn't like I said, I didn't hate it. I've seen worse films like this when it's like shot in a haunted attraction ride. It's not nothing terrible. It's plain Jane, okay, nothing amazing. Um, it just there's not enough meat on the bones. There's like no stakes with the characters. It's just like, okay, let's just murder people and like let's just do it poorly and just like it doesn't really do anything. It's just like you're just there, you're just watching like a hayride, just like you're just sitting on the back, like, well, this is going on for 15 minutes and it's an hour ride. All right, here we go.
Yeah, that it really did feel like it took forever.
Yeah, it literally felt like we were on a hayride, and it's just like, all right, this is one of those that goes around the whole park, so we're gonna be on here for an hour. Like, why'd I get on this? It's too hot. I didn't feel like walking. Um, but I guess I'll go ahead and do the candy raking. Um, and it didn't really take me long to figure this one out. Um, my pick isn't exactly a first choice. Something forgettable but serviceable. It has the name brand recognition attached like Bill Moseley and Kane Hodder. It's plain, simple, and doesn't taste bad if you wanted a quick bite, but it's probably best paired with something else that's a little better afterwards. So my choice is a Hershey bar. Ian, what's yours?
I'm gonna go with oh my god, what were those things called? The little black and white peanut, or the black and orange peanut butter candies that you get for Halloween. You're gonna, everybody forgets they exist until Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like this movie is, like you said, you took the words out of my mouth about it being forgettable. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, this movie's kind of forgettable, but not like too terrible. At least for me, it's like they'll give you a handful of them, and you're like, I might just eat one, because they're not like the worst thing in the world, but it is like a peanut butter taffy, so it's chewy. It's going to be all up in your teeth, and you're like, I instantly, like, I don't regret eating this, but this is definitely not a candy bar that you can eat quick.
Yeah.
Because it just takes forever to chew. So I was thinking that. I was like, yeah, because it just, it's a long thing to get through, but it's not necessarily bad. It's just not great. And then once Halloween's over with, you're going to be like, oh, I forget these candy bars exist. Literally November 1st. So,
Yeah, it's not the strongest film of this marathon, but it's okay. Again, like I said, if you want something simple, basic, it's fine. But there's far better choices out there, and again, we've had them better on this marathon already. Um, Even if two were the exact same film, I mean, those two the exact same film is still better than this one. Um, but there's not much else to say with this one, man. It's a very basic. I mean, it's not even that much of a slasher film, honestly. I mean, you'd think they'd go a little bit more. I mean, it's still there. It has elements of people getting stalked and killed, but it's just they don't do much with it, and it's just kind of just basic, just like it's just like it needed something extra to like really hone in on it, besides being cheap, and that just felt like the whole film is cheap because they got Bill and Kane in there, and like that's where all the budget went. So we had to cheap out and use fake backgrounds when you're just in a freaking hayride and sitting in a freaking trailer, and they have to use backgrounds for everything. You're standing in a open field, use a background. You're in a farm. Why do you need to use a background? Like, geez, it's not like it's day for night, or night for day. You're
Yeah.
using you're in a field. You can use the nature to your advantage, that you're in a freaking cornfield. Use the cornfield. Use the house behind you. You don't need to have everyone just digitally imposed on the back of the freaking green screen everywhere. It's just like it was so cheap. Jeez, man. It's just like, I mean,
Yeah.
they could have used a little bit more gore, like instead of just like, it's just the cheapness is just like really holds it back too, because like it's fine, but man, when you watch it just over and just as it goes along, and just like, oh, there's another digitally imposed background. Here's more digitally. Why is that a digitally imposed? They're standing beside each other. It just like it doesn't make sense. It's just so cheap.
Yeah. No,
And
that's
that's why I said it just reminded me of like one of those cheap ones we review on a boneyard. Like, man, you really, this is like Mascara Diablo, just like so cheap.
yeah. I wish they would have tried a little harder for this, because it could have been a hell of a lot more fun. See what I did there? Had it not been for the cheapness, the just because honestly, like, it kind of felt like they had an idea for what they wanted to do and just kept that idea, and then it was like, hey, today's day of filming and we haven't hashed anything out, so let's just do what we do. That's the kind of vibe I got from it, was like they were just throwing shit at the wall as they were filming. But I mean,
Yeah, but it's not like one of those cheap. It's not like it's like one of those where like they just like, we have a haunted house, let's film the haunted house. Like they do like a lot of
oh
haunted
god,
house
yes.
movies. Like they just use it to show the animatronics and stuff. Like, I mean, at least this one there's some like, look at this, look at that. There's like implement the murders. Instead of just like showing off a haunted attraction. So I give it props for that. But it's just like still, it's not that cheap where it's just film the animatronics and the people in the haunted house. It's just like just cheap looking when it was made. Just like, oh, we'll do that on a green screen. Oh, we'll do that on a green screen. Just like that's just lazy. That's lazy cheap. They don't put no effort into it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Oh, I just wish it. I just wish it was a little bit more fine tuned, because I was kind of looking forward to this one. I was like, I haven't, watched too many things like this, where it's like we've watched haunted house movies and stuff, but I personally haven't seen that many hayride movies, and
Yeah.
it's been a little bit. So I was like, let's. This seems like it might be fun, and I was expect, with big names in there. I kind of expected a little more from it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's just one of those that just
They
didn't
can't
live
all
up.
be good.
No, no. And it's just, here it is, name recognition. You'll eat it up. You know,
Yeah.
don't don't tell anybody. Like, I'm gonna hand out Palmer this year instead of Reese's. Don't tell anybody. Like, there's definitely a difference. One
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
taste as good as the other. It's very cheap on the chocolate, and just you get it. It's just cheap. Um, but that is, again, I don't really have much else to say on it. I think we pretty much dissected this as best as we could because there's not much there. Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm gonna call that a review on Hayride to Hell, and tell everyone that we will be back Halloween night with a special Boneyard review here in a couple days. So stay tuned for that. Of course, we'll have everything posted on our accounts on Facebook and Instagram and all the social media. So I'm looking. That's going to be a special show because it is Halloween. So we do have a special show. It is a special boneyard, and so hopefully we'll have something fun there to close out the show, and a little extra appetizer before we get into the main course. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been a while since we've done a double review, so I'm always especially what we have planned because it's already in the it's ready. It's all we have to do is just be there. So Ian, any final thoughts before we call this a show and gear up for our final show of the Halloween Grab Bag Marathon?
Honestly, nothing I can think of. I think we kind of covered everything.
Well, I'll take that as a means to an end. And so I thank everyone for listening, and we will see you for our finale on October 31st, Halloween, as we conclude this year's Halloween Grab Bag Marathon. So we thank you for listening, and we will see you next time on Horror Night Oasis.
Good night.